Can a group be considered Christ's true church simply by bearing his name? The answer is a big no. Merely claiming Christ's name is insufficient. Scripture repeatedly warns that many will misuse his name to lead others astray. Christ himself cautioned, "See that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Messiah,' and they will lead many astray." Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 through 5. False messiahs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. On that day many will say to me, 'Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, drive out demons in your name, and perform many miracles in your name?' Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. Even in the Apostolic era, false teachers arose, masquerading as genuine followers of Christ. The New Testament warns of their presence. For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13. "They went out from us, but they did not really belong to us. For if they had belonged to us, they would have remained with us. But their going showed that none of them belonged to us." 1 John chapter 2, verse 19. "In the last times, scoffers will come, following their own ungodly desires. These are the ones who cause divisions." Jude chapter 1, verses 18 through 19. From these passages, it is evident that merely identifying with Christ's name does not guarantee authenticity. True alignment with his church is determined by fidelity to his teachings, unity with his apostles, and adherence to the truth entrusted to the church, proving the Catholic Church as the true church. Both Scripture and historical sources testify to the Roman Catholic Church as the authentic continuation of Christ's true church. Here's why. The promise of Peter's authority. In Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, Jesus said to Peter, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." This is the foundation of Christ's church, and he established it on Peter, the first pope. If Christ intended for his church to endure and remain faithful to his teachings, it logically follows that it must have a visible, authoritative structure, which has been preserved in the papacy of the Roman Catholic Church. Apostolic succession. Christ entrusted his apostles with the mission to preach and baptize. Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 through 20. He gave Peter the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 16, verse 19. An office that the Catholic Church has maintained through unbroken apostolic succession. No other Christian group can demonstrate this continuous line of authority, making the Catholic Church the only one with the fullness of apostolic authority, granted by Christ himself. The Church as the pillar and foundation of truth. In 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15, St. Paul writes, "If I am delayed, you may know how one ought to behave in the household of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and foundation of truth." The church, as Christ established it, is not merely a group of individuals with personal interpretations of Scripture, but the authority entrusted by God to safeguard and proclaim his truth. The Roman Catholic Church, with its unity under the papacy and its commitment to preserving Christ's teachings, fulfills this role. Unity of faith. The Catholic Church has maintained doctrinal unity across the centuries. In contrast, Protestantism, which splintered into numerous denominations, demonstrates a lack of unity that contradicts the New Testament's description of the Church's unity. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 3 through 6. Christ prayed for unity in John chapter 17, verses 20 through 23, and the Roman Catholic Church has remained a united body of believers under the leadership of the Pope, just as Christ intended. Question to anti-Catholics. Since the Bible is clear about the necessity of fidelity to Christ's teachings and unity with his apostles, Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 through 5, and 1 John chapter 2, verse 19, could you kindly explain how your understanding of the Church can be true to Christ's commands, considering the absence of a divinely instituted visible structure of authority. After all, the apostles, particularly Peter, Matthew, chapter 16, verse 18, were entrusted with the governance of the church, and we know from historical sources and church tradition that they did not leave behind an ambiguous, disorganized framework. I am eager to hear your response, supported by standard references, on how your interpretation holds up without a clear, unbroken apostolic succession to safeguard integrity of the teachings and truth Christ entrusted to His church. How does your tradition maintain doctrinal purity through the centuries? And where can I find these answers in the scriptures or early church writings, so we don't end up just leading many astray, as Christ warned?